I never laughed so hard to myself without actually talking to somebody else. Cut the review. Come on, Jesus, man. You know, that's what I'm talking about. So, I took a little bit of a break, came back, because I wanted to do a few things. Number one, I was running out of cigar, and I feel like smoking another cigar. And I'm not going to smoke another Ramon Allones. I've already had 3 of them, and I don't want to smoke them all right away. So I'm going to do another one of these La Gloria Cubana Pt2 number 2s, which I absolutely love. Everybody knows that. These are getting older and older. They're about 5 years old now. So that's going to be fun, but we're not here for that. I'm just smoking it for my enjoyment. We're here for the Ramon Allones, or Ramon Allones Jar. I guess one would call it the Specially Selected Jar, the Diadema Distributor Specially Selected Jar. Rare piece, only 300 made, and when we opened it, we noticed this crackle effect all over the jar. And at first, like I said, when I opened it and I peered into the box and saw the lid, I was like, oh my fucking God. Holy shit, no. It was really rather a rude surprise, and that's the kind of things that can be caused by bad internet pictures. Because I'm telling you, I went back to it, and the internet picture, several pictures of the jar that you look at before purchase, were clean, didn't look like this, which still makes me wonder if the pictures are either low resolution, or am I looking at a clean jar? Is this something they decided to do later? Or, is it something that only my jar had done to it because it came out that way and it was getting fucked up? So I was a little worried about all that and decided to do some research into the subject. I'm sure any of you out there who are interested in getting one of these, and by the time you see this online, I'm sure there will still be a few left around. If you really want it, you'll be able to get it, but you better hurry. So, for those of you who are interested in getting this jar, I'm sure you want to know a little bit more about this effect. Number one, I looked it up. Number one, it's called crazing. I knew I was on there as crackle, something else I said before, checking I said. But no, it's called crazing. And it is both, well, either a desired effect or an undesirable effect, depending on what you're trying to do. Some pieces have it done intentionally, other pieces it is a flaw. However, when it's a flaw, it doesn't come out like this. I mean, this shit is dead even. Now, some questions arise quickly to my mind when looking at what's been done to my jar and thinking about what it's supposed to do. For instance, number one, is there any possibility that the jar can be flawed all the way through? Humidity can escape. I don't know, you know. Number two, does it impede upon the structural integrity of the jar? I don't know. Number three, are these things the people who made this jar thought about before doing this? I don't know. Here's my thing. I looked it up, before that actually. I looked it up, and let's see what I got here. Crazing is a network of lines or cracks in the fired glazed surface. So I guess that means they don't go all the way through. If I look inside the jar, actually, let's take a look inside here for a second. Huh. No, the inside of the jar, actually, same thing. Wow. You know, and here's the thing with that. Wow, what a seal. Here's the thing with that. Well, you know what? We'll get to that after we read this. Let's read this first. Crazing is a network of lines or cracks in the fired glazed surface. It happens when a glaze is under tension. A craze pattern can develop immediately after removal from the kiln or years later. Years later. Well, see, that's when you have an antique and it gets older and older and lines like this start to appear. And that's really bad because half of it looks regular and the other half, unless it's uniform, it looks like shit. Now, it's Lakeside Pottery I'm getting this from. We at Lakeside Pottery know of cases where the pinging sounds of newly developed crazing lines go for many years. So this jar is going to sing to me at night. Generally, crazing is considered a glazed defect because the vessel can be significantly weaker than an uncrazed pot. Pause. Now, number one, that worries me, especially with the pressure of this seal. When you put this thing on there, it's tight. When you start trying to pull it off, it requires a good amount of pressure. The lip of this jar is not very thick. Not very thick at all. I'm afraid that one day I'm going to go to open this thing and pop, part of the lip is going to fly off. You know? So that's something I'm going to have to be very careful of. In other words, put my cigars in there, close the fucking thing, and leave them alone. This is not going to be a jar where, you know, oh, I keep my daily smokes in and I dip into it all the time. It's going to fucking break, you know? So that answers question number one. Does this crazing affect the structural integrity of the jar? Yes. Will it make it more possible that it'll break when I take the lid on and off? Yes. Does the crazing go all the way through the jar? It appears that way. It's on the other side too, on the inside. So, I mean, the thing looks basically like a million little pieces that have been glued back together. Hopefully it'll be alright. Hey, I'm just warning you, letting you guys know that this is the type of jar, if any jar is going to break in transport, it's this one. Okay? Another question I had was, is this going to affect humidity in any way? How is this going to handle humidity? And the answer to my question wasn't what I thought it was going to be, as far as, well, maybe some can escape, or... But listen to this. Generally, crazing is considered a glazed defect because the vessel can be significantly weaker than uncrazed pot. Crazed lines can also harbor bacteria or germs. Therefore, dinnerware pottery should be uncrazed ware. Well, at first I started kind of freaking out about that, saying, well, this is useless. How am I going to keep my cigars in something that can harbor bacteria and germs? Then I thought about it a little harder. Humidors made of wood, the inside, grainy wood, perfect environment for bacteria, germs. The sponges that contain the humidity, perfect environment for bacteria, germs. The cigars themselves, what they're talking about is it's not good to eat off plates that have had food on them, that have been washed, because particulates can stick into the cracks and not get washed away and rot and get disgusting and turn into bacteria, and then you end up eating it later. So with this, it's not such a big deal as long as you follow all the precautions you always do with everything else. Use only distilled water. Don't handle the cigars with filthy hands, a dirty hand. Try to keep your hands clean. That kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be a really big deal. And if it is, I'll find out the hard way later. So, but that's question number two. It does affect in some way. And being that this is a humid environment. Anyway, I think we've said enough about that. But the point is that whenever you come across something different, in an area that you're very familiar with, don't just assume everything's going to be okay. You know, take a look, make sure that you understand the attributes of this, of what's going on, you know, of the new material. So obviously this has to be handled with care and really not treated very much differently than any other jar. But it was a bit of a surprise to me. Anyway, if it stays in one piece, it'll be a really nice addition to the collection. Something very different, really cool. You know, I like the fact that there's finally a jar without all the gold and glitter. I mean, I love that. You know, I love how fancy they look and everything, but there's something about the simplicity of this and just the old appearance of it that brings other things to mind, you know. Different aspects of cigar culture. So let's take a look at the cigars themselves. We're just going to put them in the jar, and this is really going to be a short one and lead right into the review, where we're going to break out the big guns, and you'll see what I mean by that when we get there. Let's check out the cigars. All right, so here we go. We're going to pull this out. These were shipped to me in a nice cardboard box and put together really, really well. Being that, here's the thing. When I have jars, since the last couple of years, I stopped the whole bands off thing, shipping separately from boxes, etc. I just have the whole box with bands shipped. Everything works out that way. However, when it comes to extremely rare jars that can really sometimes cannot be replaced, in fact, you know, one in stock, stuff like that, I have them separated from the cigars because the jar will always make it empty. Okay? If the jar has cigars in it, it may not. I'd rather lose 25 Ramon Allones cigars than lose the entire jar. So I have them shipped separately in these cases. I'm glad I did that with the next jar coming up on this series. Hopefully by the time I do it, the cigars will be here. But something seems a little amiss because I ordered 2 jars, 2 packages of cigars shipped separately. Everything got here except one of the packages of cigars. So we'll be updated on that in the near future. Anyway, vacuum sealed bag, and everything was taped up really, really tight, you know. Really nice. Tissue paper all around. And the cigars are just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely delicious. You know, the funny thing is now I'm smoking this La Gloria Cubana. And these Ramon Allones are so good that I almost wish I just lit up another one of these. I can burn through these in a couple of days. They're awesome. They really are awesome. I can't wait to review this cigar with you. Really, really awesome. Ah, there they are. Look at that. Let's get this. Just like that. Oh, look at that. There we go. Oh, the smell. Mmm. Ooh. Oh. There we go. Wunderbar, 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 wunderbar. Beautiful cigars. You can see now, you know, we talk about identifying real Cuban cigars versus fake Cuban cigars. You can see that even outside of the box, that all of these are the same exact size. You know, they're all the same shape. Very good roll. When you're looking at a Robusto, it's a fairly easy roll. It's a roll that, you know, different levels. Oh, the smell is amazing. Different skill level rollers do different cigars. Higher skill levels do pyramids and Salamones. Lower skill levels do shorter cigars like Robustos. So sometimes you'll see a sloppy Robusto, but being that it's a lower, easier cigar to make, they should usually come out very uniform. You can see right here what I'm talking about. Even outside the box, all the bands are right on, dead on. The bands are nice and tight. You know, they don't move around. They don't slide up and down. Sometimes it's hard to determine what you're looking at sometimes. Sometimes the bands will slide because the cigars shrink in transit from the cold and from cabin pressure and things like that. But most of the time, the bands should be, you know, if every single band is loose and flopping around, I tend to get a little worried. You know, you look at the feet, they're all really nice. There we go. Ain't that pretty? That's nice. Yeah, look at those feet there. Very, very nice. Not too thick, not too tight, not too loose. I don't like my cigars to be... I'm going to show you right now. Some people ask me, what do I look for when I'm choosing a cigar? Well, a lot of different things, but one of the most important things to me is that the thing is not overpacked. There we go. This one is getting there. Well, not really, actually. Well, a little bit. I like them to be... Oh, here's a good example. A little more like this. You see that? A little bit of room in the foot there. You squeeze a tiny bit higher up and make sure it's not loose all the way up, you know? But just a little room in the foot. And just by that practice, I've almost eliminated the chance of ever smoking a plugged cigar. That's my little secret. It's very hard to, you know, you say like, oh, feel the cigar, feel for knots, this and that. You never know when you're really going to get a plug. But when I used to not do this, I would get plugs you know, on and off. Once I started saying, you know what, I'm not going to take this one. See that? I'm not going to take that one. I'm going to take this one. And I guarantee you, I won't be smoking a plug. Thing with Cuban cigars, as good as they are, and as much as quality control has improved, you do get the occasional plug, and you do get more plugs than usually than Americanized production brands. Depending on the brand, of course. So that's that. That's that. Let me take a closer look at these. I got some trays. These are awesome. This is a cedar tray, a shelf really, that came out of a Partagas Limited Reserve Ducatus box. That's not Cuban. That's, you know, General Cigar Company cigar. Actually, the box, there's a box right over there. I think you've seen it behind me. I like putting these in my Winador if I have room. Once I build my second one, it'll be really cool to have these as, you know, and you can put your cigars in them, and they keep them nice and, you know, I like that. I like that. It makes them easy to stack. They don't flop around. It's like, if I owned a cigar shop, I would get trays like this. Because a lot of cigar shops have trays. You take a tray and you go around, pick the cigars you want. But without the grooves, your cigars are rolling all over the place. They roll. You trip and they roll and they pop out of the tray and everything falls on the floor. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But, you know, I really like these trays. I like these trays. Yeah. See? So if I, you know, had room in my Winador, if I was rich and I had a Winador for smoking only, like stuff that I'm not aging, but I'm smoking out of all the time, I would get a lot of trays like this and empty the boxes into them. You know? Just pull out trays, maybe make some sort of modification where you can slide these out. You know, they work really nice. That's it. Let's get the cigars into the jar. The jar here. Let's see what we got. We're gonna pop this open, and I'm gonna show you the inside of the jar and the lid. Just very. Ooh, I'm worried about that edge, man. See that? Remember the La Excepcion jar? Same exact thing. Now it looks like cedar. It doesn't have much of a smell to it. You know, I think, look at that, same little hole that was on the Excepcion jar. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it was some kind of nail hole or something, maybe. Oh, look at that. No, it goes right up through there. Maybe I have no idea. Maybe a breathing hole? I really don't know. But anyway, this seal is dynamite. Look at that. It's 2 pieces of that wood with the rubber stuck between. And this would be absolutely, unless you're living in Florida, this would be absolutely useless to keep your cigars humidified for more than 3 days. Useless. Absolutely useless. Gonna leave it in there anyway, just so I have the whole thing together. But that's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, that's bullshit. For the money that these jars cost and the money that they know people are willing to spend on them, I really wish they would put their heads together and start working on new, improved, better ways to do the humidity thing. As we were talking about before, crazing all through the inside of the jar. Little tobacco flakes down there. Let me get rid of that. Since we're on a little run here, we're doing this Cigar Collectibles episode. There's another one coming up. And after those two, we're going to do a bit of a kickback because there are 2 jars that we've never covered. And we're going to do them in one episode because they're kind of like brothers. In a way. So we're going to do that also. So we're going to have quite a few Cigar Collectibles this season. So just give me a few minutes to get all my soldiers in their barracks. And we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up in Season 3. And then the next episode coming up, we will move along to the Ramon Allones Specially Selected review. Cigar review. Oh, and brand history. A brand we've never covered before. That's right, another one. And if you count, I think now we're up to about 14 or 15 brands, Cuban brands. And remember, the goal is to cover all 27 Cuban brands. They're all in there, except for the ones I smoked, of course. So that's nice. It's nice. A little bit of room. You may ask, well, how do I put my Boveda bags? It depends. Depends on the jar. I like the jars that have some room up top so I can shove the bag in there. Not the case this time. So, you know, I'm wondering, should I use one? Should I use two? Well, here's the thing. If you use two, the only thing it's going to do is keep the packs alive longer. The humidity cannot exceed the rating on the pack. If it does, it'll be by like 1%. Because these bags are magic. They absorb excess humidity and release extra humidity. So if it's at 50, they'll release until it hits 69. And then if it starts creeping up to 70, it starts absorbing. So I think in this case we could just put two. I was thinking put one in the middle of them. But I think what we'll do is just stick one on either side. You know, just like that. You could do one on the other side. So, I think all that can be said about this jar has been said. Very cool piece, very rare piece. Number 237 of 300. There should be a few left if you really want one. If this is one of your favorite smokes, go online, check it out. Like I said, I got lucky. I found this on a whim. Had to get it. You know, so I like it. I like it. I like the fact that it's very different, just like every jar. But this one especially is very, very different. Doubly different for all the reasons we've discussed. I like it a lot. But what I like more is the fact that one of my favorite cigars in the world rests inside. And in our very next episode, we will be reviewing this wonderful cigar and doing an entire brand history on Ramon Allones. I say entire, but let me tell you, we're getting down to brands that are very old, whose histories have been really watered down along the way. I'll find all the information I can, but I can't promise you it's going to be anything like, say, Davidoff Fuente or even Cohiba. But it will be cool, and smoking the cigar will be cool. Oh, and while we are reviewing the Specially Selected, we will not be smoking one from this jar. We already know these are great. I already know these are great. I want to smoke one from something else I have. Told you before that I will be bringing out the big guns, so I think you'll like that. It's going to be another first for the Dr. Joe Show, and it'll be something that'll get your wheels turning a little up there. So we'll do all that. That's about it, folks, for this Cigar Collectibles segment. I hope you enjoyed it, as brief as it was. Glad to be back. Season 3 is ongoing, up and running. And that's about it. Keep on smoking. And keep on collecting. Say goodnight, Max.